Imagine this. You blink, and the entire world stops. Every person, every bird, every car, even the wind. You're the only thing left moving. At first, it feels like you've been given the greatest superpower in history, but the longer you explore this frozen world, the more you realize that stopping time comes with consequences no one could have imagined. Welcome to another episode of the What Lab, where impossible questions meet real science. To make this thought experiment possible, let's establish one rule. A mysterious, invisible bubble surrounds you. Inside it, time flows normally, and you can move, breathe, and act. Outside that bubble, the entire universe is locked in absolute stillness. Keep that rule in mind, because everything that follows depends on it. You don't think about physics first. You think about freedom. No school, no work, no traffic, no deadlines. You could walk straight into a bank vault and take whatever you want, then be gone before the world ever notices. You could stroll through Area 51, stand in the middle of a frozen highway, or wander the halls of an airport without a single security guard ever turning their head. You could pause an embarrassing moment mid-sentence, fix it, and restart as if it never happened. Bored at work? Pause time. Read every book in the library. Learn 3 new languages before lunch. Walk across an entire continent without a single step feeling rushed. For a few glorious hours, you are the architect of your own existence, finally free of the clock that's been chasing you your whole life. Then reality starts breaking. You step outside and the air is the first problem. It isn't just still, it's rigid. Because every air molecule is frozen mid-motion, pushing through it feels like walking into a wall of glass. You'd need real force just to take a step, and each one would shatter frozen air like breaking ice. Sound doesn't fare any better. Open your mouth to scream, and nothing happens, because the vibrating air particles that carry sound are frozen too. You are standing inside a world of total, bone-deep silence. Look up and the sun hasn't moved. It never will, not while you're in here. Depending on when time stopped, you're stuck in permanent noon or permanent dusk. And here's the part almost nobody thinks about. Shadows don't move either, because shadows are just sunlight interacting with a moving world, and this world isn't moving anymore. Gravity gets stranger too. Step off a curb expecting to fall, and you have to ask, is the ground beneath you still frozen in its arc around the sun? You're not walking through a city, you're walking through a photograph. Now check your phone. Nothing. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no GPS. Every satellite overhead is frozen mid-orbit, and without their electromagnetic pulses actively refreshing, the entire network goes dark. Elevators won't move. Escalators are just metal staircases now. Automatic doors, the ones that have opened for you your entire life without a second thought, stay shut, because the sensor and the motor that trigger them exist in a moment that's no longer happening. Try to force a frozen door open, or twist a frozen doorknob, and you'll feel real resistance, real mass, refusing to budge. Because frozen doesn't mean fragile. It means locked in place with the full weight of physics behind it. As the novelty fades, survival becomes the only thing that matters. You head to a grocery store, but the doors won't open. You break in instead. Now you're staring at food that technically still exists, but is trapped behind refrigerator seals that will never cycle again. Crack one open, and the cold air spills out and never returns, because the compressor that would refill it is frozen solid. Whatever's inside starts warming toward room temperature the moment you touch it. Non-perishables become your lifeline, and even those are finite. Nothing on this planet is being restocked, ever. Water is trickier than you'd think. Municipal systems rely on pumps, and pumps rely on electricity, and electricity relies on a grid that stopped generating the second time did. Whatever's sitting in the pipes right now might be all you get. Toilets won't flush for the same reason. You're not just isolated, you're living in a world with no working infrastructure at all, a civilization frozen mid-breath with none of its systems still running underneath. Then you get sick, or you break a bone, and suddenly the sum total of human medical knowledge is completely useless to you, because every doctor, every nurse, every surgeon on Earth is a statue. You can't operate on yourself. You can't get antibiotics from a locked pharmacy cabinet without breaking in and hoping you understand dosages well enough not to kill yourself. A hospital surrounds you with expertise you cannot access. In our world, a broken leg is an inconvenience. In yours, it could be the beginning of the end. But the most dangerous thing that happens to you isn't physical. It's what happens inside your own head. At first, solitude feels almost peaceful, but your brain wasn't built for this. Within days, your circadian rhythm collapses because there's no rising sun, no darkening sky, nothing to anchor morning or night to anything at all. Within a couple of weeks, researchers who've studied isolation in Antarctic outposts, submarine crews, and long-duration spaceflight have documented something called cabin fever psychosis. You start narrating your own actions out loud just to hear a voice. You give the frozen mannequins around you names, backstories, opinions, desperately building a society that will never respond. By month 2, real isolation studies suggest your speech could genuinely start to erode. Your self you thought was solid starts to feel more like smoke. Now consider what you could actually do with this power. You can move frozen people, reposition them, take something out of their hands. Is that still theft if the world doesn't resume for another hour? Would it still be theft once it does? You could shift a driver's car 6 inches to the left and prevent a crash that would have killed 3 people, or you could shift it 6 inches to the right and cause 1. You have no way of knowing which. Historians would call it luck. Scientists would call it chaos theory made flesh. Religions across the world would likely scramble to explain what you are, some calling you a miracle, others calling you something far darker. And when the clock finally restarts, governments would investigate a world that doesn't add up. Missing cash, repositioned bodies, doors that were locked and are now open with absolutely no footage because every camera was frozen too. Would you be humanity's greatest secret hero or its single most untraceable criminal? The unsettling answer is that you could be both, and no one, including you, would ever be entirely sure which. But as the days blur into something you can no longer count, the biggest twist reveals itself. And it isn't about food or physics or even your own unraveling mind. It's this. Nothing you experience in this frozen world actually happened. Not in any way that matters. An achievement no one witnesses leaves no mark. A thought no one responds to evaporates the moment you think it. Meaning was never a thing you generate alone in a room. It's a thing that gets built between 2 minds, bouncing something back and forth again and again until it becomes real. Take away every other mind on Earth, and you haven't gained infinite time. You've lost the only thing time was ever for. That's the part almost nobody expects going into this thought experiment. We don't fear losing time. We fear losing the people we'd spend it with. And a power that lets you do absolutely anything except be known by another person isn't a superpower at all. It's just the universe's strangest way of teaching you what you actually wanted the whole time. If you enjoyed this thought experiment, subscribe to TheWhatLab for more impossible questions explored through real science. And until next time, keep asking, what if?